Here we go. The emergency pod that we should have recorded 2 days ago, but Joel and I have kids and can't just drop everything on a Saturday to talk about swimming.
They gotta
Um,
shame me like that. Why you gotta
Shit,
I
shame me
don't,
like
I
that?
don't know,
we're
Eric. Maybe,
envying you
maybe
like
you
that.
also have a lot going on. I don't like. I can lump you in there that you just can't drop everything on a Saturday.
We,
But
Joel and I can't because
yeah,
we
well,
don't
we're
have
very
free
important.
time.
Yeah, like I said,
How is you having free time shaming you? We're
yeah,
Makes
really.
me makes me feel guilty
guilty of
having free
what?
time.
Actually, like being able to do stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
seriously, good
because you
for you.
actually because you don't do
Some
stuff with
of
that
us
free
have
time. That's the
kids.
part that we're just.
Some
Yeah.
of us
Go ahead.
have kids.
All right, time's ticking.
Yeah, let's talk about David Popovici. And Joel, once again, I want to remind you that Romania was never a Soviet country. Okay, so and I want all our listeners to know that we do not believe on this podcast that Romania was a Soviet country. Um, we're really sorry for saying that. We're excited to talk about David Popovici breaking the world record in the 100 free. And we're going to watch some footage of it. And we're going to pause it every few seconds to talk about how amazing his swimming is. Before we show the video of it, I just want to let each of you guys give a brief reaction to the swim, when you learned about it, and what it got you thinking about. And I know, Joel, you did your usual thing and took some freeze frames and sent us some pictures and all that stuff. But I'm actually going to change things up. Eric goes first.
Um, I legitimately excited. You know, obviously
Yeah.
we've already talked about some of the video, what we've seen thus far. But regardless of how he got there, which is more than anyone else on this earth can say. So looking forward to seeing what comes of this 100 free. And we are talking in the midst of finals right now. So the 200 free may or may not have happened just yet.
Yeah, maybe we'll give a live update to this podcast. I won't get posted until later in the day, and then it won't matter what we said about happening, the 200 free that was happening. Joel, how about you? What were you thinking?
Oh, I love watching that guy swim. It's one of those where I like the simplicity of his stroke. It looks like basically like if the room were on fire, he's gonna be the first one out the door. He's just got a stroke that he's just able to just go with. And one of those where I sent you those clips of like a couple things that look like a little bit hitches. It would be awesome to talk to, someone that's behind his swimming to see, what's going on there. But I really, I love watching him race.
Yeah, I saw that he really gave it a scare in the semifinal, and I had been, to be honest, like a little bit. Oh, and I'm getting a live update from Eric that he went 142.9 in the 200 free. So maybe we'll have to do another podcast later today. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, then that Biederman record is in danger, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's also 142.
142 flat.
Oh gosh. Well, if you got 46 speed in the 100 and you can finish, certainly you'd like
turns
to believe
18 in a month.
Yeah, you believe you can beat a 142. So I guess when I saw him give that scare, I was really excited because as a European swimming fan, this has been a kind of a stinker of a European championships. Just some of the events have been really, really, truly slow. A lot of countries just look like they sort of treated this almost like a B championship. So that's, and that's just a circumstance of having a European championship on the same summer at the end of the summer with a Worlds and a Commonwealth Games in the same summer. And so, it's nice to see something really exciting happen. I also thought it's a great opportunity for a skinny little whippet of a human being like David Popovici to not necessarily be in the most competitive field, although it's not that fair to say that, but the field was decent. In comparison to every other race at this meet, there was actually some other swimmers going quite fast, as we'll see in this final, because he goes 46 and second place is at 47.5, I believe, Malak from Hungary. So it's not like he completely completely blew this field. Although that's just still pretty big margin in 100 free. So I thought he had a good chance at it. And so I started to get excited in advance, and then, you know, then it actually happened. So why don't we watch it actually happen and then do all our pausing and discussing of that. I've got the official Brett Hawk stands video pulled up here. Somebody filming this for Brett. And you can see you got Popovici here in lane 4. I believe that's Malak in lane 5. And one of the things I'm curious about too was that last summer it seemed like detail wise he was still real rough on his start and his turns. So I'm interested to see how that's come along when we watch this. Get into the start here. I turned the sound off, so they weren't even. Actually, pretty simple little start too. Poor Malak. I feel like we're going to be picking on him the whole time, but he does some age grouper stuff over here. One of these things is just not like the other in this 100 freestyle field.
He gets out after it in the first 15, though.
Hey man, like all Hungarian swimmers, he certainly has the right attitude about swimming these races. Can't fault him for that. It's just the execution of the swimming
he's the only one that looks just wretched in that moment. Everybody else looks like they're actually ready to race. He got caught in jumper dive.
So Milak, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I mean, for being that in the air, he really gets it assembled when he gets in the water. Because look at where he's at already. That's pretty incredible. You can see the wave
first to the 15
of him, where the again you see like the slope of that wave. So obviously there's some stuff that can get cleaned up under there, but it's pretty cool that he's able to get out that quick.
Yeah, I'd say Popovici, like you can see he's behind actually on the breakout of this race, and that to me is more of a function of just the fact that he is he has such small body mass still. You know, like I don't know what his exact weight is, but you just look at him and he's talked about how skinny he is. That until that changes, he will probably find himself starting a lot of these 100 freestyles behind other swimmers. And that is actually a real challenge, but he seems to be handling it extremely well. And he's doing a pretty amazing job breaking out at the beginning of this race. You guys got anything to add? Or should I play again?
I thought this was like some sort of suspense thing where you just weren't going to play it. I think within the first like 6 seconds or something like that, I've read a couple different things. That's kind of where the body starts choosing the pathway that you're going to go down. Yeah. And so, but again, I like how down below him that again he's got like that light stroke going over the top, and obviously like you go at 50, struggles to hang on for the 100, while Popovici's stroke, it's more like I was kind of interested to see how that would be able to rate out from the 100 to the 200. And it'd be interesting to see like a 400 again, because like I said, it's such a simple stroke. The kick though, obviously is a little jacked up and kind of over kicking it a little bit. But again, this is really a fun race to watch.
You think Popovici is over kicking or Malak?
Just a little bit. I just kind of wondering if like one of those things where you're in the race and Malak's out there so quick, you're like, okay, I'm going to bring the kick in a little bit stronger here, because the tempo doesn't really change that much for him on the stroke, except when he gets in trouble on the breathing on that left hand. So go ahead and play it, and I'll show you.
Like right there?
Yeah, so now the kick is kind of like, now it's a little calmer, and not calmer, but it's more contact with the water. But yeah, that left, when he breathes to the right, you can kind of see how he's already kind of laying out on that, and that creates that little gallop in the stroke. But again, the tempo he's able to maintain, even with the gallop like that, when he goes to the non-breathing cycle, everything just comes out so smooth and writes itself out. Meanwhile, down below is such a higher frequency stroke. high tempo, riding high in the water. As soon as he kind of loses that position in the water, where he starts sinking down a little bit, the stroke just falls apart. But
Mm.
again, the dude went for it on the first 50. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think anytime you have a world record swim like this, sometimes you got somebody else who, not anytime, but a lot of times you just have
Kind
somebody
of
else
rabbited.
who's just trying to win. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's clear to me Malak is doing everything he can to win. Like, he's not going to back half Popovici.
Right.
Basically, nobody can do that. So you've got to see how big of an advantage you can build
Right.
and
So
go
the
from there.
strategy going in was, because Popovici doesn't have that initial start go out speeds. Like, maybe I'm just going to take it to him on the first 50. That'd be interesting to talk to the coach or talk to him and see, like, was that the kind of the goal? Like, I'm just going to gun it,
Yeah.
and see if I can either throw him off of his race or just gun it and hold on and see what happens.
But what you talked about the loping stroke. I mean, what do you think? Like, what's your opinion overall on loping strokes? Is it something that's just like sort of a normal stroke adaptation that people are making, and you shouldn't really mess with it as they go on swimming wise, or is it just like a stupid thing that everybody started doing 20 years ago?
I'm kind of interested. I've got a friend who thinks it has something to do with the rhythm of the breathing cycle. So again, we mentioned this a while ago with Gay coming in. Like, once they do distance, they kind of built that stroke around that breath. In the 18, 19, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything you can really do. I think it's in you. Let's just train you and let's go. Versus when they're really young like this. Again, so I like that loping stroke. Maybe it slows the tempo down enough for him to be able to go to the 2, maybe up to a 4. It'd be interesting to see. Or my thought is right now it's just kind of one of those things where kind of using that left to stabilize a little bit so you can get the breath, get a little bit away from the water, and get a bigger breath. And so more of a function of just something that was when he was little, just kind of clearing away from the water a little bit more to get more air, and it's still in his stroke is my thought. But again, I'd be interested to see if there's something more to it than that. If kind of planing on that left hand is actually helping him, or if it's just something that he can get away with because he's so much better than everyone else.
Eric, you got an opinion on lopes?
Not really a fan. I think he saw it by and large here in the United States because of Michigan freestyle, but it's one of those things, like Joel said, it's here right now, and that's what works because it's just a part of it. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the age group coaches and senior coaches like looking at this and be like, world record swim, and then watch it and then scratch their heads because they don't know what to share. Because they don't want to share what is actually seen. So they have to, twist their brains around what's good from this, other than his splitting is incredible.
Yeah, I think, my answer to that would be like to just go back to the simplicity of what he's doing. I wish we had a head-on angle because I do think he is better seen head-on. You can see more of what's really good about his swimming, which is despite all this funkiness that's happening, with the arm planing and everything, like that this arm is on a straight line from his shoulder. And
yeah,
yes,
the hand goes in, the hand goes back.
Yeah, exactly. And he does that on both sides. And it's just very simple. He's just putting his hand in and pulling.
Yeah, well, in the second half, you start to see more underwater. But yeah, once he gets that left hand and he's breathing into it, not only does he get in, though, that's when he starts to stretch out. And that's where I think that lag kind of comes in, like almost like the shoulder disengages.
Yeah.
And then it needs that little millisecond for it to re-engage, kind of let the nervous system like catch up, and then the stroke goes like that. Yeah. And so it is one of those things right there, like especially where you just started, just those couple of clips of the bounce, the loping stroke.
Right.
Again, it's one of those where if you're going to design something, or you're going to design based, the finished product is a world record swim, and therefore this is the right way of doing it. And so that's one way, obviously, to go about building a stroke. The other way is like, what in nature has loping kind of things, especially in the water, and generally in the water, things aren't going to, you don't see fish swimming where they have this big paws, but like, a horse gallop or like something like that. So again, maybe a gallop is something that works in nature.
Yeah. I think one thing to take away strategy wise from this race is just look at where he is in relation to the field from where he broke out at. And that's a
Yeah.
function of that these swimmers around him have decelerated quite a bit more over the course of this 50 than he has. And, you know, if you know that you have that sort of speed, there's so much benefit to just figuring out a way to avoid panic and
Yeah.
keep going with what you're
Yeah,
doing.
he swam his
Because
own race.
That seems to be his biggest tool in all of this. Is obviously his stroke rate's not the fastest in the world, but it's just his consistency and mental strength, I guess, in that moment to stay with what works, because you never see panic. He's not even the separation between his final time and Malak's final time at the end
yeah,
looks bigger for 100 free, but he doesn't really get any separation until what, maybe the last 15 meters is when we really see what makes him his 46.8, legit,
yeah,
is just that his ability to maintain.
Yeah,
You
I
can
think
split
that,
100 free.
like I was saying, with that first 6 seconds, kind of choosing the pathway, if he's already over swimming that, it's going to be a much different race. And for him to stay within that race, I think, like, not that I'm a USRPT kind of guy, but just that whole base theory was that that you're on your paces, that you're always hitting your paces. That if you throw yourself into a different pace, that whole race is going to have a different character. And I see Chris is queuing up on this turn. I think this turn is, like, again, when we looked at before the Olympics, it's kind of rolling the dice. But this
yeah,
is just, it's money. He just gets in there smooth. It kind of reminds me of, like, Lochtey's turns almost.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was swimming right through it.
he swam right through it. Like those
And then
turns
hitting that breakout, yeah, just
too.
amazing.
Last summer. I remember he had a bit of an up and over kind of action, and he's just coming right through it. And then in the second 50, we're going to get to see a little bit of him breathing to the side we're on, so you can see the right arm a little bit better, and the way that left arm, how that works in with his breathing, I think a bit.
Yeah, and, like, coming from the big money programs that we always came from, we didn't have a lot of the velocity analyzer kind of stuff. The left, again, it's like, I think so many times people are thinking so much about distance per stroke coming where that hand is entering, versus, like, thinking about where the hips are generating power from. So, like, if it's, instead of going distance per stroke based off a hand hit, you're going off of the hip being at the highest point until it's at the next highest point being the cycle. Basically, on this left, you can see as he extends, he's getting massive, like, distance from his shoulder and hand,
Yeah,
but he's not really getting much distance on the stroke, versus the right, which is a little more engaged. He actually seems to get more distance per stroke on that. And again, that creates that loping kind of a tempo.
yeah, yeah. I think Kyle Sockwell tweeted out a photo that you sent on to us that shows just a great illustration of that length he has when his hand is entering, and the very, like, just a very beautiful line that his body's on. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at an angle like that and gone, like, oh, I guess, like, that swimmer wasn't quite as straight as I thought. And this one, I just thought, wow, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Immediately it actually had me looking back at old videos of great freestylers to see what they look like in a similar position. And I just don't actually think we've ever seen somebody swim the way he does in that way. Let's see. And you can, yeah, I think you were right, Eric, too. See, we've got about 15 meters to the finish, and he's still, I know it's a little hard to tell with the camera angle, but he's maybe a head and a half ahead of
Yeah,
Malak.
you saw the movement, you saw the shift happen right around 30 out, but you don't see the separation from the heat till, like, here. So all that work, that 20 meters right there, we're seeing all of that come
And he's just
fruition
pulling this whole way. He's just pulling
Right
away,
there.
pulling away.
Yeah, that's where you can see where Milak, like, again, where the stroke really fell apart, where it's like an exponential thing, where
Right.
it's like that wall is coming, and then exponentially, like, right there with about 12 meters, 15 meters, everything changes. It's time to go. It'd be awesome to have, like at the Olympics, that instant velocity analysis, so you can kind of see where they're at each stroke as far as their velocity in the water. And again, just watching Popovici, it's not like he's swimming away from people. It's like you said, he's just decelerating the least.
Yep. Let's see. Finish, stroke. Oh, that's a bit of a long finish. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I'm kind of a pedant on finishes, but
I thought it was great. It's world record. What do you want?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
All right. It's
he had to make a little bit of a lunge because he was
because he wasn't going to take another stroke there. Right.
Yeah, and again, just for the field like that to be to have that kind
close
of
to a
like
46.8.
that's pretty amazing. That is just amazing all the way around. Yeah, and like you said, based off of like other swims, this was incredible.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, guys, before we let everybody get on with their day? And I'll get this right up on YouTube for you guys.
Oh, look, I'm curious to see what the 200 is going to look like.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that race.
Yeah, 50.3 and then 52.6. So 4-1, 6-2, 6-6, 6-0.
Yeah. Well, that final will be tomorrow night.
No, that's the final.
Oh, that is the final.
That is the final.
That's
yeah,
embarrassing, Eric. Come on.
You can just edit that right out. You'll be
no,
okay.
I'm gonna leave it in. We're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that mistake in. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks you guys for coming on and talking about this. And we'll see you all later.
See you.
Thanks.